Hello everyone, World Combat Sports once again had to stop in on this Sunday. First of all, I want to salute the members and the combat sports fight fans that tune in and participate in the group and drop your content. Salute to you. One fight, one team, that's my mantra. I truly am thankful for those who spread the word and more and more is joining the group. Please do that. It's much appreciated. Today I'm jumping right into it. I'm going to break down the Anthony Joshua debacle. Speaking back a little bit when he actually had the privilege of talking on ESPN and Stephen A. Smith. And it seems like he was feeling himself a little bit. And he was just going in, just saying a whole lot of things that the fans want to hear, people. You know, the first thing came out of his mouth that Deontay Wilder is next. I'm not sure he was reading off a teleprompter. You know, he had a little sticky pad in his hand or whatever the case may be. But he was just saying all the bullets, man. He was checking the boxes, though, that date. And everything was linking up real nice. And we just haven't seen it, to be honest. So I'm going to sit up here and peel back this onion. I know it's a rotten egg inside, but I'm just going to do it for the boxing fans so we can kind of get an idea of how in depth he has went before the fight being called off to actually make it seem like we actually might see it on the fight stage. You know, we might be entertained as fight fans to pay our money to be in attendance for this mega bout. And of course, it did not happen. So let's buckle up, press the gas, and see where this takes us.
Let me ask you this question. How badly, I mean, I know you're the heavyweight champion, you're the most popular heavyweight in the world right now. Is it a situation where it's the next man up, or do you really, really want Deontay Wilder badly?
Deontay Wilder is the next man up. So that's how I'm looking at it. It works both ways. Because I've went around my career from my 16th fight. Fight number 16, I became heavyweight champion of the world. And I'm 21 fights in now. And I've gone and had a heavyweight championship fight. I unified the division. And I had a double unification fight with Joseph Parker.
So you see where this is going. Initially, when he kicked off the interview, he basically made a point to throw Deontay's name out there as being the next opponent. And we was extremely disappointed to that never coming to fruition. As boxing fans, we was eagerly waiting, and throughout the media strum and all the webs of deception, only to find it was nothing of any type of validity that we can just hold on to and digest. You know, he basically made mention of his ledger, how many fights he currently had being the unified champion, which we already know. Very strategically and carefully planned out. And yes, Joshua, you was able to achieve those belts. So let's keep it moving.
And Wilder's got my last one. So now, putting that fight together will be the cherry on top. And that's what we've been working towards. And I feel like it has to happen because this is what I've been working for. And he's got an opportunity to show that he's the best. So the best of the best come together. And then it will be very entertaining. If we can take anything from that basketball game, entertainment-wise, into the boxing arena, it's going to be a good night.
Now, you do know that Deontay Wilder came right on this very show and said, quote, Anthony Joshua wants no part of me. He's been ducking me. He doesn't want to fight me. This is before, obviously, you guys started talking about fight. You do know he said that about you, right?
So my view is, for a living, I fight. For a living, Wilder fight. So in all of my life, I've been fighting. I've never been scared to face any challenge. So what makes Wilder in his right mind think that he's another challenge that I'm going to be scared of facing? That's why I think talk is cheap, money buys houses.
If he has your other belt, simple, go take it. And the only way you're going to take it is in the ring, do a sanctioned bout. And we've been waiting on it for a while. Let's go to the contradictory bowl of gumbo that you're trying to spoon feed, the gullible that's out here. If you say you've been fighting all your life, why stop now? If Deontay Wilder is the only person that has the other strap from you being the unified champion, the undisputed, why you stop the effort now? There's no need to answer those questions because we all know why. Like you said, the cherry on top is what you're doing. You cherry picking. You hopefully thinking about if someone else is able to disrupt the entire plan process of Deontay Wilder unifying the division and defeat him, which isn't going to happen. No one's going to step up to the plate and do anything different than what has happened to his other 39 opponents. That's just plain and simple. I'm just keeping the buck. So if you've been fighting all your life, my question to you, why stop now? There's no need to kind of press the brakes when you out here in the media saying that why should you be scared? Yeah, we asking the same thing. Why should you be scared? You should be on point by now. Gold medalist, been winning, undefeated, flawless ledger. And at one point in time, you had 100% KO rate. Now, all of a sudden, Joseph Parker go the distance with you. You're a little bit perturbed, disappointed, disgruntled post-fight. Just because this reporter, and, salute to him. He was holding you accountable. And he inserted Deontay Wilder's into the fray regardless if you wanted it there or not. And he wanted you to answer those questions. So once again, you say, hey, he steps into the ring. You'll knock him cold, spark out, right? Well, guess what? You can't do that out here in the media. You cannot sit out here as a professional fighter at the top tier of the division in boxing, supposed to be making all this money. You cannot sit up here and deceive people and say you'll knock somebody's spark out when you can't even get a pen and let the ink dry. We just keeping it 1,000. That's all. We're not putting a freaking scale on it. We just know it's been unbalanced for a while now. We have one champion who's been calling you out, attempting to unify. And then we hear you say you want to fight the best of the best. If you want to fight the best of the best, then step up. Let the ink dry. And stop all the back and forth, deceptive David Copperfield negotiation tactics. Because don't nobody have any time for no magical display here. We want to get down to business. Let's keep it moving.
Well, you do know, Anthony Joshua, that he is 40-0 with 39 KOs. And not only that, he saw you fight Klitschko. You knocked out Klitschko. You beat Vladimir Klitschko with the TKO. That was a tremendous fight. You got up off the mat and you beat him down. You dropped him first. He got you with a right hand. Then you came a couple of rounds later and you finished him off. I think Wilder saw that fight and saw Klitschko catch you with that right hand, and he believes he wouldn't have got up with a right hand coming from me. What do you say?
So he believes when you deal with Vladimir Klitschko, you're dealing with an Olympic champion, down from the Soviet Union of a regime in his life. 10-year heavyweight champion, had more title defenses than any heavyweight champion in the world.
So you can sit up here and identify all the accolades of a guy you stepped in the ring with who actually have legendary career. Him and his brothers going to the Hall of Fame. Vladimir and Vitaly Klitschko is going to the Hall of Fame. So look at it this way. Let's talk about the fight. You were struggling from the inception of the fight, from the opening bell. You was gassed out, cardio suspect, and you didn't do enough to understand the magnitude of the bout you was in. So whenever Klitschko fainted, you reacted each and every time. He was getting good intel, and you was giving him all the feedback he wanted during that fight. So that's how he was able to set you up in the first place. He had been working on that. He had been faint, just waiting to land his power shot, and you gave him all the essential nutritional ingredients that he need to freaking dominate that bout. But he just chose to let up off the gas. Now, yeah, you dropped him in the 5th round, and once he rose, he pretty much dominated the remaining part of it. And in the 6th round, he caught you. Let's be clear. You was gassed. You was facing a fighter who was already coming off the defeat. Fury lifted the belts, and you're fighting for the vacated. And he's coming off a 1.5 year layoff, and you still perform that way? I mean, what does that say about you as a champion? That means you need to do better. If you're going in there with someone that old and on the backside of their career, and you can't do any better but be on your backside in the ring, then you got problems. Because Deontay Wilder, he fought Luis Ortiz 214, 215, and he was sick leading up to that bout. What's your excuse? You're talking about a guy who's several pounds off cruiserweight and coming in there and laying power down like that. This is a heavyweight division. So when you look at it, you look at the big guys, power to weight. That's how you kind of gauge it, right? But Deontay Wilder, if he's knocking these fighters out at the weight he's in and moving the way he is, the lateral movement, the agility, what you gonna do with that? Because you're a robotic type of fighter. You throw your 1-2, step back 1-2, and the only thing you got is the pray to the Holy One himself that uppercut lands. So that's where we at with you. You know, you speak on it a lot, but we don't see it resonating in the ring. And that's why we hold you accountable for ducking. Because you know what work that lies ahead. You know this is a thesis. By the time you walk up out of there, you will be educated.
And I went in there in my 19th fight, and I defeated him. When Wilder was fighting in his 19th fight, he was fighting in a 6-rounder in Canada. You can't compare the two. If you want to talk about, you know what I'm saying? So you can't talk about where I was at in my 19th fight because I'm leaps ahead of these guys. So when you talk about levels of stats and facts, you just got to look at the numbers and do the math.
Hey, we all can agree that it's not all about how you start. It's about what you do in between and how you close down the curtain. You know, whether your career is freaking successful, and then separate the ones who's headed to the Hall of Fame. Right now, you need Deontay Wilder to solidify whatever you got going on in that direction. Let's be clear. You know, you can basically highlight the fact and what he was doing at this time, with the numbers you're putting up. But all we want to know right now, right here, is what is going on at this moment. And that is, if you all had any type of negotiation effort, who was calling out who? Okay. If you want to talk about numbers, we can talk about numbers. Okay. Number one, he was offered a 12.5 flat fee. Okay. Number two, wasn't it to a fact where he wouldn't receive any type of potential earnings or future revenue? 3, let's kind of fast forward. 50 million. You'll fight him tomorrow. 3. Okay, that's just 3. 4, you jump on social media and say you're not going to sell your belts for 50 million. And then all of a sudden, you come back and you do what again? I mean, just remind us what you did. You continue to put up a facade that Deontay Wilder did not want to fight. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's cinco right there. That's cinco. ¿Me entiendes, amigo? I mean, how much effort? How many does he have to go through back and forth to try to appease you, to try to placate the situation in order to get you in the ring for one of the biggest boxing bouts in history? Let's keep it moving.
We're talking to Anthony Joshua, heavyweight champion of the world, right here with Stephen A. on ESPN Radio. I want this fight desperately. You say you want this fight desperately. Wilder says he wants this fight desperately. Why has the fight not been signed on a dotted line to happen as of yet?
Why hasn't it happened? That's a question that I couldn't answer myself because I've had now 6 heavyweight championship fights, 2 unifications. I'm only talking facts. So I'm not going to say this is why that is. I'm going to talk facts. I've worked with champions, undefeated, who have had belts, and we've managed to put on phenomenal shows. So why would it be any different fighting Deontay Wilder? Why should it be any different? So let's put our egos aside and let's just make the fight happen for the love of the sport. Because that's what I said. This is what I do for a living. I do it for the love of the sport. No one really wants to get punched in the head. But if you're crazy like me and you loved it, this is what we do. So let's put our egos aside and put on a phenomenal show.
Okay, we can agree on something. You have fought for unification. We understand that aspect of your performance and your achievements. You have fought for unification. And with that being said, the only person that has an ego in this matter is you. We can talk about you denying Deontay Wilder to come into the ring. You're talking about freezing him out. You're saying a whole lot of things that justify you having an ego. Because how can he have an ego if he's doing his job? He's calling you out and he's making a point to say, in boxing, if we the top 2 contenders in the sport, then let's settle it. Let's see who the best. I know I'm the best. Are you up for the test? That's exactly what he said. So what more do you want? Doing it for the love of the sport, bro. Man, come on. When did you start fighting for the love of the sport? And you talking about all these performances. I have to help you understand one thing. You never would have sold out Wembley if it wasn't for the opponent that was standing across for you and open the bell, which is Vladimir Klitschko. He sold out Wembley. You and him together. Okay? And then even then the scales wasn't absolutely balanced because guess what? We was talking about a previous champion and you was up there fighting for a vacation. You had a lucky draw with being able to be in the presence of a promoter who got you to the dance. Okay? But Tyson Fury was the one who had the belts and he had to step away from the sport. And I know you jumped up for joy. You say, yeah, this is my time to shine. And you got your moment. That's what it is. But with every moment, you always know in the fight game, there's always going to be somebody up for the next challenge. And even though you stepped up when you know Tyson Fury was gone and everything, Deontay Wilder was there. You can say whatever you want. If you wanted to fight for the love of the sport, you wouldn't be up here ducking and dodging and running and requesting $50 million and then denying it. You would have stepped up and said, you know what, Hearns, this is what I need to do. It's for the good of the sport. It's for my career. I'm trying to be the greatest. Let's do it. Don't don a white robe and talking about you looked at Ali and that's who you're trying to emulate. And then get up here and all you do is make up excuses. It truly comes a point in time when you have to identify that what you're saying out your mouth is not something we choose to digest. You know what I'm saying? We choose not to go around here and be gullible as that to say this is what we need to do. We need to believe everything that comes out of Joshua's mouth because it sounds good to some people who really don't follow the sport closely or just gullible enough to live vicariously through this dude. But fighting for the love of the sport, yeah, fight for the love of the sport and sign on the dotted line and fight your constituent that has a WBC since you said Wilder has your other belt. Go take it.
I've still got 10 years left in the game, so there's a lot more that people will see of me for sure. So I'm having fun with it while I'm in it.
Anthony Joshua, what does Deontay Wilder need to do in order to make this fight happen?
Look at, coming over, looking at out there, 2-fight deal. Let's cater for the UK fans and let's cater for the American fans as well. And look at really what his worth is, because this is where I work with my promoter, my manager, and you have to look at the value.
So y'all heard him right. He said cater to the U.S. fans and the UK fans. He has no intention of leaving the UK, so he was just saying that good for TV, man. Since it was ESPN, he said, let me sing this anthem. Let me get on the violin and play the piano at the same time and see if the music sound right. Sing them a lullaby. I mean, come on, man. You're not trying to appease the U.S. fans. You're just up here talking. It's a lot more to boxing than just the U.S. fans. Boxing is a global sport. And right now you have an attachment. You have an influence on that. And what you're doing is not really conducive to moving forward in the sport, because there's a lot more money that can be out there if these titles were unified or if you all stepped in the ring now. You just can't wait and say, I want to drain the tournament as much as possible. And then come to find out something else might occur. It can be an injury. It can be anything. And then what? You can get to a point where you get stripped of a belt. But that's what it boils down to. You're saying a whole lot of things on here and saying, you want to fight for the UK fans and the USA fans, but we know good and well that's just a bunch of nonsense. You're being totally dishonest with that. You're just talking fast. You're just putting those talking points out there just to get a reaction. That's when Stephen A. Smith said, yeah, because no way. We don't believe that because we haven't heard it. You haven't even mentioned anything about appeasing both sides of the genre that's included on your side and the U.S. fans of Deontay Wilder. So you're not playing anybody.
Of course, I lost this perspective. and just be realistic about what you want out of the fight. Because you can't live in fantasy world and then try and bring that into reality. Because in reality, you have to know where you're at. And in fantasy, provided he fights me, then we're going to we're going to go to the end of the rainbow, provided we get this fight done. But right now, he has to live in reality and realize his worth. And then, provided he fights, he puts on a good performance, his stock will go up, and then he can demand exactly what he wants. But we have.
So we're not allowed to live in fantasy world and bring that to reality. We pretty much got that. And just hearing you say, you know, Deontay Wilder needs to step up there in his performance, right? His performance was good. You know, he put on a hell of a performance. And then turn around, you once again said, and then he'll be able to negotiate his worth. I mean, we ain't looking for rainbows, man. I mean, once again, you tied yourself in a knot again. You say we can't bring fantasy world into reality, but yet you're talking about rainbows. And you know well as I do, you never went to the end of a rainbow and found anything. You see one from the street. You're not trying to sit up here and locate the start and finish point. Bro, you need to be truly focused on the task at hand, and that's stepping up to the plate and getting back on track with your boxing career. Because a gold medal is not going to be your one headlight that shines in the eyes of everybody else as if they don't know it's you, and say, okay, whoever that is, they shining, they bright. We got it. Sign the paper. We don't need to know a name. No, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen, man. You got to do a lot more than sit up here and try to fool and put up this buffoonery and what you're doing in the sport, man, the hurt business. It didn't used to be this way. And it's kind of like a travesty right now. We have to sit up here and babysit the notion each and every day, those of us who check out the media and we follow it, we keep our ear to the media scrum. And we have to go back and forth. We're trying to decipher and filter through what is legitimate and what should we just jettison and put in the garbage disposal without even cracking open the article. You know what I'm saying? There's too much of it out there. And you're a big part of that. And if you want to talk about his worth, he went out there and finished Ortiz. What more is he supposed to do? You want to talk about he was being hurt? Well, you was hurt against a guy who was 41 years old. So, hey, Wilder was buzzed versus the guy who y'all say that was 41, 42 years old. So how can one outweigh the other? How can you sit up here and say you fought and he was from this regime? You and him have two different lives. He actually fought in his lifetime. Okay. He had the competition and he did what he's supposed to do. We can give him that credit. When it comes to you, I mean, the competition is okay, but the one that's stepping up to fight you, that is legitimate contender to challenge for your belt, you don't want no part of it. That's fact. So say how you may. Whatever. You know, you exposing yourself every time you turn down any type of effort. And now it's out the window anyway. So what you going to do now? You better hope you win against Povetkin.
To get in the ring before you pop your numbers.
Anthony Joshua, did I hear you correctly? You want a 2-fight deal. In other words, you don't want to just fight him once. You want to fight in the UK because you had 90,000 people show up for your fight at Wembley against Klitschko. You want another fight in the UK, and you want a fight in the United States of America. You want a 2-fight deal with Deontay Wilder. Is that correct?
100%.
Hey, what is the scale of integrity? Because he said 100% he wants to fight. Steven said that, let me get this straight. You want to fight one fight in the UK. You want a 2-fight deal, one in the UK and one in the United States, right? And he said 100%. If that is the case, then why is all the negotiation process going on where you offering a contract that if Joshua wins, he gets a rematch. And then if Deontay Wilder wins, then there's no type of alternative or option allotted or afforded to him for a rematch. So contradicting. And this is all being executed while they're sober. You expect this type of behavior from somebody who's codependent, who had sobriety issues. These people are just habitual liars. They would sit up there and say all the sugar-coated details to give you that hit so you can go run with it in the media, and the people just sit up here and put it in print and press enter. That's what the effect they're trying to get. You know, how can you say 100%? What is the cap scale, people? What is the cap scale for integrity? 1 to 100, right? So he said 100%, that's caps him off. He's basically acknowledging that he's willing and able to make that agreement. And it never happened. Puzzling to those who don't want to accept the fact now. But you heard it out of his mouth. He is willing. He won a 2-fight deal. And it never happened. If you were so easily to sit here and talk in that monotone voice, so relaxed and composed and everything, and to basically come out your mouth with those lies, then guess what? I hope somebody else hold you accountable once they hear this, because you said 100%, and we absolutely knew that was a bunch of BS.
And I'm not in the business of having a one fight, and it's not like I'm trying to just cater for one side of the world. I understand that there's a massive audience out here, and he's been catering for the audience in America. And being a world champion means you fight everywhere in the world. And I know America is the mecca of boxing.
He's not trying to cater to one side of the wall. Okay, so somebody should tell you, you might want to get a running start and try to run through it then, because you shouldn't have not trying to jump over it. If you're not trying to cater to one side of the wall, then what you trying to do? Because you're definitely not trying to come across the pond and talk about the mecca of boxing. If you're acknowledging that we the mecca of boxing over here, why you really don't want to come over here and see what it's like to be up under these lights? That's all you have to do, and then we respect you a whole lot more. If you're going to say once more, contradicting yourself, that you're not willing to sustain yourself on one side of the wall, then why are you doing it? You haven't even made no attempt, no legitimate attempt to cross those waters and come over here and fight. Regardless of no 2-fight deal or anything else you're talking about, you haven't held up to anything that you put out there. You haven't went out there and accepted when Wilder gave you the $50 million. You haven't went out there and accepted any type of negotiation process when they returned to you all, saying, okay, we accept the offer to fight in the UK. Then you came up with some more stipulations. Oh, somehow, some way, September's up. We got Canelo and Triple G in the house, so we can't fight in Wembley because we need to make sure this turnip is extremely dry once we finish wrenching it. It just doesn't make any sense, man. And people, understand this right here. If you haven't heard from anyone else, Wembley, stop saying he sold out. Okay, he was across from a legend that assisted him in selling those tickets. A lot of people was there. Let's be frank. Let's be absolutely, totally honest. They was there to see Klitschko that night. No one really knew who Joshua was. So stop playing yourself, sitting up here talking about he sold out 90K stadium. Has he fought there since then? No. Has he fought there before he met Klitschko? Yeah, against a boxer called Matt Legg. Now you tell me if a boxer with that name sold out Wembley. Who is he? That's the same thing, I say. So you want to talk about he's selling out 90K stadiums and everything. Be realistic here, man. Do your research. Pull back those pages, man. Flip through them. Put bookmarkers in them so you can refer back to them. Because that's what it has to happen when we out here surfing this media wave, right? You got to do research. You can't sit up here and continue to say Anthony Joshua was selling out this, that, and the other, and it's absolutely untrue. He was across from a legend. If that was the case and he can sell out that stadium by himself, why hasn't he returned? Think about it.
So I want to definitely compete here, and what better way to announce a fight to become the undisputed heavyweight champion of the world. So let's start off in the UK. As you said, I've been catering for all of these 90,000 fans. I've managed to capture 4 heavyweight title belts. So in my eyes, when you do the math, I feel like I should have a bit of a say in where the fight takes place to start with. But nevertheless, we'll always return that favour and come to the USA.
So we talking about numbers, right? We talking about numbers? So we talking about 4 vs 1. Come on, man. Or 4 vs 3. 4 vs. What we talking about, man? 1 title vs the 3 relevant titles. And then you said you return the favor? I mean, when you plan on doing that? That's all we want to know, man. If you sitting up here in the media saying you're going to return the favor and you think you have more of a negotiation influence in the process, okay, we can look at that. But it's not across the board, Joshua. You have to understand this. Take any peak that you want. You know, put the hand over eye method and just do it through your fingers. If that's a clear enough picture that you want, so you won't have to be held accountable for your identity. When you look at Triple G and Canelo didn't have 1 belt, and they had the negotiation power. So the structure, the protocol that you're speaking of does not resonate across the board as being a routine standard. Okay, because Triple G had the belts and he wasn't the A side considerably in that negotiation. You're basically implementing that. You want to wear the bow tie. You want the entire suit, and you want to make sure you clean it up with a nice little brim on top. And guess what, man? We don't need all that. We just need some trunks, mouthpiece, and 2 gloves. That's it. You're doing a little bit too much by saying that you're willing to return the favor, and that's absolutely habitually represent who you truly are. No integrity. If it was so easy for you to say it in this interview, then you should have more than likely convinced, Eddie Hearn to just say, let me take this, man. Let me walk this. Man got to do what a man got to do. It's time for me to step up. Let's get it. That's what we want to hear. You know what I'm saying? I mean, this is boxing, man. You got to entertain not just the fans, but we're the ones who pay your salary. When we don't show up, you don't get paid. You're not going to an empty stadium and still think you walking up out of there with 50 million. All the promotional efforts and consideration and bonding, all the people that you have to pay. So you need to have some integrity, man. You need to go back to school, take an online course or something.
You know what? I got to admit, that doesn't sound like a bad idea at all, Anthony Joshua. I actually never thought about that. I'm thinking about 1 fight. But wait a minute. You're saying, hey, I had 90,000 people show up at Wembley. Guess what? We could do that again. And then I'll guarantee you I'll come to the U.S. and fight you again. That doesn't sound like a bad idea. It really, really does. And Wilder has said what to that?
You could always go back and take quotes after his fight. I think with the Main Sylvain, he said, didn't he travel to Russia to fight Povetkin? This is quite what Wilder said. So
yeah.
He said he'll travel anywhere in the world. He'll come
he
to
did.
England. So.
He came on this show. He did say that.
But he did say that. So I'm not going to start saying, I'm not going to take a 2-minute clip from our interview and say, well, this is what you said, and you have to stick by it. But if he is that willing to travel, we've shown what we're capable of doing. Let's get him involved in the party. Let's have some fun. This is fun to me. Let's rock and roll. Honestly, I live for this. I breathe for this.
Now you deflect the attention, then you bring it back on yourself as the highlight, and bring all these accolades, adulations towards yourself to praise you as being this guy who steps up to the plate and do what exactly? You want to talk about him fighting Alexander Povetkin? He was willing and able to go over there because he was willing to take the fight. Povetkin was willing to take the fight. This is not in the same area code when it comes to dialing in what you have put Deontay Wilder through. You haven't even attempted to say, we're on a level playing field. We both champions, and let's get this done. All we see out here is that you're trying to make him seem like it's an inferiority process here. You want to dictate royalty to someone who's just a mediocre, average peasant to you. That's what you're trying to sit up here, and seems like you're trying to portray in the media. You're trying to make it seem like y'all not even on the same level as men. Period. That's what I see going on here. And you in one of the toughest sport in the world, and you're busy up here placing all these unnecessary obstacles in the way that's hindering both fighters from actually making a living. And from what you and what you gather from it is that you have a cushion over there in Eddie Hearns that he was going to get you.
That's why I managed to put myself in a position, and I'm ready to kind of continue down this journey. There's no fear in my heart, man. This is what I decided to do from 18 years old.
Anthony Joshua right here with Stephen A. on ESPN Radio. Before I let you go, Deontay Wilder said he would knock you out. There's no way in hell it will go the distance. Anthony Joshua, what do you believe you would do to Deontay Wilder?
You know, everyone says this, everyone says that. But, you know, you're going to have to tune in to see a boxing masterclass. I'll pick him apart. He won't be able to cope up 10 minutes back foot. He's going to tire. He's going to start making mistakes. And I'm not, like, credit to Luis Ortiz, he showed a lot of flaws in Wilder's technique and how you can expose him. But I'm a different animal. And unfortunately, for him and his family, I want to leave him flat on his back unconscious.
Everybody say this, everybody say that. Guess what? Why it's taking so long to bring that contract? It should be self-explanatory by now. One man stepping up to the plate, he's a champion. He has one belt. You talk about the four that you are in possession of. If it's that easy, step up to the plate, make the fight happen, and get it over with.